the open community, the open science community, the collective effort we pull together can really beat proprietary. That's my prediction, is the open weights model is going to be better than proprietary. DeepSeek is just one instance. I'm very sure that there will be a lot more coming 2025 this year.
Welcome to the 5-Year Frontier podcast, a preview of the future through the eyes of the innovators shaping our world. Through short, insight-packed discussions, I seek to bring you a glimpse of what a key industry could look like 5 years out. I'm your host, Daniel Darling, a venture capitalist at Focal, where I spend my days with founders at the very start of their journey to transform an industry. The best have a distinct vision of what's to come, a guiding North Star they're building towards, and that's what I'm here to share with you. Today's episode is about the future of AI infrastructure. We cover open source supremacy, DeepSeek disruption, building small expert models, and staying ahead of the blazing pace of AI innovation. Our guide will be Lin Qiao, the CEO and co-founder of Fireworks AI, a company pioneering scalable AI infrastructure to help businesses build, customize, and deploy AI models and applications with both speed and efficiency. Fireworks provides seamless access to over 100 AI models, including those from OpenAI, DeepSeek, and other leading providers, making enterprise AI adoption faster and more flexible. Founded in 2022, Fireworks AI is already gaining high-profile customers such as DoorDash, Verizon, and Upwork. Backed by Sequoia, the company has raised $77 million to date and is currently valued at $550 million. Lin brings a wealth of experience in AI infrastructure and engineering leadership. She has held key technical roles at IBM and LinkedIn, but is best known for her tenure at Meta, where she led a team of 300 world-class engineers in AI to build frameworks and novel platforms. She played a pivotal role in scaling PyTorch, deploying across Facebook's global data centers and billions of devices, cementing it as one of the most widely used open source AI frameworks today. Lin holds a PhD in computer science from the UC Santa Barbara and a master's in computer science from Fudan University in China. Lin, so nice to see you. Thanks for coming on to talk with me today.
Very nice meeting you too. Thanks for having me.
What inspired you to leave Meta in 2022, a company that has really led the open source movement in AI and where you're managing a team of over 300 people in that space, and you wanted to go off at that point in time to start Fireworks? What was the inspiration around that?
You're right. Meta is on the cutting edge of building up AI and also bring AI into production. We built PyTorch. It's a fantastic framework now dominating the industry whenever it comes to models, deep learning models. Almost like majority of the models, especially in GenAI, are written and deployed in PyTorch. So in that journey, as I engage with open source community, I start to realize they are in the space where Meta was about 5 years ago. When Meta started this AI journey, there's no software, there's no hardware, there's no people. We felt starting this company to support the industry transition to build AI first products is going to have a lot of impact because the need is very strong there. So that's kind of our mission for starting Fireworks.
And there's a big commentary around the enterprise are just in this kind of testing phase with AI. They're not really deploying it into production. I guess that is a role that you want to help them do more efficiently and at scale. Does that notion of just testing and tinkering, not deploying, map out to your own experience on the field?
So I would say quite contrary to that, I've seen very active development within enterprises. And so this is kind of also break my own assumption when I just start a company. In my mind, I always feel like the startups or the AI native applications, they will be on the cutting edge of adoption, and then digital native, right? And then traditional enterprise. So I always in my sequencing in this order, maybe they are gapped 2 to 3 years apart from each other. But it's happening right now across the board. We have customers from AI native startups, fast growing in an explosive phase. We have companies in very large digital native areas, and we have companies in the traditional enterprise, like insurance companies, healthcare, banks, and so on. Across the board, So I will say this is the wave, this current AI wave is unprecedented. It's a shock wave across the whole entire industry. And eventually it's a tech-led wave also. By tech-led, it's mostly driven by developers who are engineers. And they have been in the trenches of building and pushing the boundaries and redefine what does a new user experience look like, whether they are sitting within enterprise or outside of enterprise. I would say this is a very surprising observation.
When we look at all of this AI innovation, it comes with a huge amount of resource intensive demands and infrastructure. And Fireworks really addresses that and speeds it up and makes it more efficient. So maybe what are some of the innovations that you've developed that allows for that deployment of GenAI to happen more efficiently in the enterprise? And how does that start to evolve?
Right. The GenAI models is on the highest end of model size and complexity. So that just means bringing it to production is kind of challenging. To application developers, they are building a highly interactive apps, right? So humans on the receiving end, they kind of need to talk to this app and do things. So it need to be very responsive. Latency is the key. And second is they need to scale to a lot of users, right? So when they scale, they need to scale quickly. And they also need to scale with unit of economics. But GenAI is breaking it because the model is so big, it's so complex, so it's slow. And second, it's very, very expensive. It's very expensive because it's very big and it has to run on GPU. And sometimes it has to run on multiple GPU nodes for one model. And we know that GPU is expensive, but it's not just GPU. The whole entire infrastructure around GPU is expensive because GPU is very power hungry. Power is expensive. Power produce heat. Heat, you have to have cooling. Cooling is expensive. So everything adds up. The unit of economics of running AI to power application has been drastically different from application as is before as you run on top of commoditized CPU. So then the application developer, although the content being generated by GenAI models are awesome, but they struggle. They struggle as in they could no longer produce this highly interactive experience. Their latency is regressing, or they cannot scale. Even if they find product market fit, they can scale into bankruptcy.
Yes.
So that's kind of very interesting. Paradox here is a perfect product market fit, but you cannot scale. So that's where we come in. We're coming because all these models are PyTorch models. We know how to productionize PyTorch models at the meta scale. We know how to optimize to extreme for both latency and cost efficiency.
Fantastic. And, cost efficiency and some of those efficiency gains is really top of mind at the moment. And it is at this intersection between using proprietary models like OpenAI or open source models like Llama. And we're in this news cycle at the moment that's blowing up around DeepSeek and its innovations in dropping down the cost of model training and then model deployment. So maybe you can give us a little bit of your take on the battle between open source and proprietary. How do you see it today? How do you see it evolving?
So it's very interesting, right? I think is that 2 years ago, like we have the first open source model like Llama 1 that emerged. Before then, it's all proprietary. And there's a chart someone drew that open source model capability is converging with closed source until recently, DeepSeek got released. I think it's the first time it's not converging, it's not approaching, it's kind of surpassing.
Yes.
Right. So of course, when we compare models, there's no one model beats all the models. But it's just kind of, that's impossible because the way the model is trained, the model has to be kind of focused on certain kind of loss function. That just means the model is kind of from the day one, it was designed to be really good at doing certain kind of things really well. But DeepSeek has demonstrated that it can really beat state-of-art model, the proprietary models in logical reasoning, right? For example, there's this expert level logical reasoning benchmark called Human's Last Exam. It's a very, very difficult benchmark, and DeepSeek is number one. And also in the chatbot arena, where human reader, they just compare results across multiple models. And when they ask questions, they look at the result. And DeepSeek is also topped in that it just gave us a trend. I believe in this trend. The trend is directing towards the open community, the open science community, the collective effort we pull together can really beat proprietary. That's my prediction, is the open weights model is going to be better than proprietary. We just see like DeepSeek is just one instance. I'm very sure that there will be a lot more coming 2025 this year. So this year is going to be a very, very exciting year.
Absolutely. I totally agree there. And do you think by the nature of it being open source, though, that the proprietary models can adopt the best practices from the open source community and stay one step ahead and capture some of those economics? Or do you think there'll be just eventually a tipping point where the open source community will propel ahead?
Yeah, so I think we have a numerous amount of examples that the open source models are becoming the state of art. We have many examples already, right? So Kubernetes is kind of a great open source example that it becomes the de facto standard. And then there's no point of having anything proprietary there because you get the best of the open source. It constantly being tested, being maintained, being updated, like being enhanced. I think what is open source, it's not about it's just in the open, it's about the community around it. The community keep fixing small problem and it compound. So just as one example, I was seeing some discussion that there are already institutions try to reproduce DeepSeek training, right? And there are multiple one of them. And I'm sure that it's a good practice. Also, it's a good test, that I'm very keen to see what comes out of those. And I'm pretty sure it also give information to Meta, what other kind of model training, like best practice, they can leverage and build on top of their existing model training process. So because of that, I'm also super excited about Llama 4.
So are we just destined for a dramatic drop in the cost of intelligence and the cost of running these models for the benefit of those building on top of it?
Absolutely. Because again, I think DeepSeek is the significance of those models, V3 and our models. It's not just model them by itself. It's actually a proof point that training can be very extremely affordable. And here we're talking about pre-training, not post-training. And that just means the model quality evolution will go much faster. I believe the future will be hundreds of small expert models.
Got it.
And this will just significantly accelerate that journey of many emerging small expert models in its own domain. It's going to beat general purpose proprietary models. It's a given. It has already happened, and 2025 is going to happen in a more pronounced way.
Sitting from the Fireworks perspective, you've got over 100 models on your platform, including DeepSeek, which is an amazing turnaround given they just released on your half. What are the kind of signals that you're already seeing these kind of specialized expert models being adopted?
Right. We have seen a variety of use cases. We have seen people building all kinds of assistants. They are building assistants in the legal domain. Even legal has so many different subdomains. I'm learning actually when I bring up our customers. There's plaintiff, there's defensive, there's legal research. It's all different. And there's educational assistant to the teachers, to the students, to like people want to learn foreign languages. There's medical assistants that we actually have a shortage of 1 million nurses. We have also seen applications, and they are streamlining the business process of reporting KPIs, the business process of doing analytics, and so on. So, and then there's a whole slew of application building all kind of search experience. So I think search is also going to be disrupted because there are so many places that we put our content in. Right. And then those companies where we put our content in, they're going to enable a very powerful search capability. And then we can kind of pick and pull intelligence from the content in a much easier way. So search is a huge, I think, huge explosion in terms of application.
Fascinating. And, when you look at that and you look at this idea of these kind of smaller specialized models. How does that map to the other trend, which is plowing huge amounts of dollars into build out of AI infrastructure and data centers, most notably the Stargate program at the cost of $500 billion? Does that run true to the narrative that we will still need all of that compute power, or are we just going to see hyper efficiency mean that we don't need these giant data centers to achieve our AI goals?
What's going to happen is the training side, like DeepSeek proved that it can be extremely cost efficient. And that just means the model quality iteration is going to accelerate, especially accelerating in the kind of domain specific experts area. The velocity is going to speed up for new applications to adopt those models and bring those into production, right? Because the quality gap is diminishing. Here, I'm not talking about some benchmark, whatever. I'm talking about the quality gap to build a high standard product that can deliver the result as needed to drive user engagement and so on. It's going to diminish very, very quickly. So that just means there are a lot of demand that will drive into inference. And that's why, like, from the inception of Fireworks, we saw that, and that's kind of almost like 2.5 years ago. And everyone is working on training. And we have decided, we believe the future demand is on inference. And the demand on inference is going to be way, way, way bigger than training.
And so that underlines the need for that infrastructure spend for the inference side?
Absolutely. So we spend all our effort build up our highly scalable GenAI inference infrastructure and bring it to the next level. So right now, I think we're leading the industry in terms of our capability, in terms of our inference speed and cost efficiency.
What does the whole shift towards inference or the refocusing around inference mean for models in 2025? Where do you see it kind of evolving? And is it around making them far more specialized and fine-tuned and expert from that general purpose foundation model, or how does it play out?
Yeah, so what we see is, especially for enterprises, they have a lot of data assets and they need to convert those data assets into AI assets. And we have seen the biggest gap of doing that is a lack of proper customization process, a ease of use customization process to infuse their data assets into those models. With the emergence of DeepSeek models, it makes those infusion of data assets and transformation much easier. And what we see is customization is a key to production, especially for enterprises. And they all need to adapt and adjust their model based on their internal data. That's where kind of we are heavily investing in. It's not just kind of inference platform, but an inference platform that is specialized towards individual enterprise. And that specialization process is also fully automated. So it's very easy to get started. And for every individual company, they will have their own inference engine.
Is this notion of running out of high quality data to train these models a facade? Will the enterprise have enough proprietary data or access to proprietary data to be able to train its own models?
So I think it's always a race. As in, there are a lot of domain-specific data. You can argue whether different enterprise in the same domain, they have completely different domain-specific data, or it's pretty much the same form and shape. Regardless, right now the gap is very big from a general purpose model into like a company-specific use case, right? I think some of those gaps will be bridged by some model provider that is verticalized or some kind of platform that is verticalized to kind of cover that. But some gap may not be fully covered by that, and then they need to further tune using company-specific data. Right now, it's an active development space. And for the enterprise who are entering GenAI right now, they do need to have a pretty deep customization process. And that's where we jump in and help.
Hearing you talk about enterprise customization of models does give rise to another topic, which is around AI agents and their deployment within the enterprise. What are you seeing today, and how do you see that whole agentic space playing out?
Starting this year, we saw a lot of interest in agentic workload. We have a lot of customer engagement. They are directly building demos. and building proof of concepts. We're still quite early. If we look forward I do feel like this will happen pretty fast. Change on the AI infrastructure level is latency is going to be even a bigger issue. Because to solve a problem, you will have multiple round trip across multiple models. And before it's just kind of one model. So those models has to be really much faster. Those models have to be much smaller. Those model has to be like more optimized. So I think the development of agentic workflow is going to push towards the direction I just mentioned. Will be like we will see hundreds of small expert model emerge, and getting there faster will really help the maturity of the agentic workload.
And are there other parts of the AI industry on the frontier that you're keeping a watchful eye, maybe this year or next?
Yeah, so because we are at the AI infrastructure level, we keep a very close eye on hardware development as well. Of course, we run across multiple hardware SKUs from both NVIDIA and AMD. I think the hardware landscape is also getting extremely interesting. Before I started this company, like usually every 3 years there's a new hardware SKU. And now there's like every 1 year, there's new hardware SKU from each hardware vendors. So, so it's interesting, right? So like, right now it's great news for developers because there's a lot more variety to pick and choose from, but also it's challenging for them because they have no idea which one to use. And even picking and choose the models becomes exhausting. There every few weeks or every week there's new model coming up and, they're confused, like, should they use it or not? And let alone different hardware SKU. And different hardware SKU has different design point. Some has higher flops, some has higher memory bandwidth, some has better interconnect, cross GPU interconnect, and so on. And we want to harvest all this dynamism across the industry from the best innovative model, state-of-the-art model, and the state-of-the-art hardware, and give that power to the application developers to innovate and to innovate to change our life. I'm very looking forward to what new applications going to emerge from this GenAI wave.
How do you stay and organize your company at Fireworks to remain dynamic with all of this change? You're acting at such an important interface between all the model and hardware innovation and the end developers and application and enterprises. And they're looking to you almost for guidance and being able to stay on top of all of this.
We are very customer obsessed. We really believe our success indexes our customer success, and we want to give our best to them. If a new model comes in that will significantly advance the product development of our customer, we'll just jump in and make that happen in no time. Yeah. We are also extremely, as a company, we're very flat. There's no hierarchy. We don't want internal communication to become slow anything down. So we laser focus on top priority and the goals, and the whole entire company just dash towards that. And then lack of hierarchy help us to get there really fast. It's very easy to mobilize our people across different functions, from eng to sales to marketing, all the functions to laser focus on one goal.
What advice would you have for founders looking to embark and develop an AI first or an AI native company today?
In a startup, there's just not enough data. When you bootstrap a business, you don't have enough data to make an extremely high precision decision. It's much more important to start a product with your hypothesis and go in to validate as soon as possible and start to create the feedback loop. It's okay to make wrong assumption, but it's not okay to not validate it for a long time and bake something in vacuum. And because time is the essence here. All we have is race with time and get to what people need as soon as possible. So that's my advice, is kind of don't analyze too extreme because it's guaranteed. There's no perfect data.
I couldn't agree more. I really love that advice. What about for venture capitalists and investors? What advice do you have for them?
I have excellent board members and investors, and they're very dynamic. They don't fixate as in, oh, you're early stage, oh, you're growth stage, oh, at this time we should have that. They don't ever give me a box to fit into, and we always brainstorm how to be the company, right, in the industry. I think it's clear in my mind, there's a lot to disrupt. Right. So of course, we as a company, Fireworks as a company, we're disrupting the technology GenAI platform space as a SaaS platform. But I also shared with my board, even the go-to-market needs to be disruptive because we have never seen this market before. The way people are adopting GenAI product has never exist before. And how we structure go-to-market team, how the process look like, it's going to be different from before. And I think they're all very much on the same page with me.
And that's an area that we're really passionate about at our firm. How do you see a modern go-to-market work in this environment?
The one trait that we're seeing right now is just everything moves so fast. If there's a run book, it will take you 2 years to get to the mind share. It's not just going to work. It is too slow. I do not like the go-to-market strategy where marketing is like 1 year, 2 years ahead of product. I really do not like it. And even when we started, we are like the opposite. We don't even market anything because through the PyTorch experience, we're like, hey, product will speak for itself. Of course, that's not the right way to think about it. Marketing is important. Get the word out is important. But I just don't believe in like this 1 year ahead marketing. I don't believe in that because no one knows after 1 year where we are in the AI space.
So just release cycles of product, letting it speak for itself, letting people come to the platform and experience it in a lightweight manner, and then having marketing support that is a big driver. Fascinating.
At least that's how we operate. And we are also heavily experimenting and we'll see.
Totally. That aligns nicely with what we're seeing too. Well, look, Lin, we've come up on time, unfortunately, but thank you so much for spending time with me today. I know there's so much going on in your world and in the whole AI industry that even taking a moment out of your day to come and chat, you could be missing the next big release. So I'll let you get back to it. Congratulations on all the success so far with Fireworks. No doubt we're going to hear a lot more about the company as it grows. And thank you again for coming to chat.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks.
It was a real privilege to speak to Lin at a time when AI infrastructure is becoming the key battleground, with enterprises moving rapidly from experimentation to full-scale deployment. Lin makes a compelling case for a future dominated by open source, cost-efficient foundation models, enabling a surge of specialized expert AI models that are fine-tuned for real-world applications. This shift will dramatically lower the barrier to AI adoption, unlocking new opportunities for developers, founders, and enterprises alike. Our conversation really couldn't be more timely, just as the industry grapples with the rise of DeepSeek, the acceleration of inference at scale, and the reshaping of enterprise AI strategy. If Lin is right, we're on the cusp of an explosion of AI native applications, built not by a privileged few, but by anyone with a vision to create the tools to execute them. To follow Lin and the innovation she's developing at Fireworks, head over to her account on X, @Lin Qiao. That's spelled L-Q-I-A-O. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, so please subscribe to the podcast and drop us a rating to listen to more coming down the pipe. Until next time, thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.